Welcome everyone to another CTC Software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis, the Director of BIM Development here at CTC Software, and today we're going to be going over a part 2 in reviewing your survey feedback. So we recently put out some surveys, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the results of that. Today, focusing primarily on the Civil 3D side, but we can talk about some of the other surveys as well, depending on where your questions may go. So as always, of course, these webinars are recorded, and so that means you can review them on our YouTube channel in the future when they get published, usually within about a day. Also, as always, as I just mentioned a moment ago, you can ask questions when you participate with us live. So if you've got questions about today's topic, we encourage you to throw those in the QA window, and I'll be taking a look at that throughout the presentation and also in a QA session at the end in case there's some questions that kind of fit better at the very end. Without further ado, let's jump right in to today's topic. So here at CTC, many of you who have talked with us live in the past know this to be true, and those of you perhaps who haven't, we're going to talk about this. It really is your feedback that pushes us to do the innovation and tools development that we do. You are the driving force behind all of our kind of continuous development. And we're dedicated to enhancing our tool sets. We want to make sure that we're changing the tools and updating the tools to kind of meet whatever the current needs are in industry. Those needs are going to be ever changing, ever evolving, and we're always on the lookout for really more streamlined ways, more ideas, more automation techniques that we can use to turn tedious workflows into real optimized workflows. Now, you may have already noticed some of this, of course. We have been releasing update after update, constantly improving our tools, taking your feedback and working on that. But we've really pushed lately to take and farm ideas in something of a more formal way of sorts. We submitted some surveys out to industry. Perhaps you've seen them. If you have and you haven't answered them yet, we're going to encourage you to continue to go through and find those surveys and answer them. And actually, I'll be giving you some links to those here in just a moment. But we really do want to reach out to you and get you to tell us more about what it is you want in our tools. It's certainly not that we're running out of ideas. We have lots of them. We want to have you help us in guiding those ideas to what's going to be developed next. So we're going to cover a couple of things today. I definitely want to review your survey questions, these recent questions, so you kind of know what's coming. And in case you haven't seen it yet, you'll have an expectation as to what is in that email or what you might go scan and go take a look at. I want to tell you what the intent is from us here at CTC. I'm going to show you some of the common community answers that have already come through and some of our current metrics we have access to. And then I want to give you some actions to take yourself, because again, I want your feedback, and I want to, show you how you can give that to us. So first off, let's start by taking a look at a few of the recent survey questions. There's actually 2 in particular, but we'll take a look at this here. So we sent out, and I'm focusing today on the Civil 3D aspect of our surveys. A previous webinar, I talked a lot about the building information modeling or Revit-focused surveys, where we had 3 surveys there. On the Civil 3D side, we had 2 specific individual surveys. And there was really 1 survey sent out per major suite. So there was one that was for the SIM project suite and 1 survey that was sent out for the SIM manager suite. On the BIM side, it was BIM project, BIM manager, and BIM batch suites. The questions between all of these surveys, all 5 of them, were actually very common. The first question is, what were your top X number of favorite tools within that suite, within that collection? In the case of the project suites, there's a lot of tools in both BIM and SIM project suites, and so we picked top 5 favorite tools in that environment. On the manager side, there's fewer tools in the manager suites, and so we typically limited that down to 2 favorite tools in that environment. But the questions themselves will tell you what the limit is. We also then asked you within that suite, which of the tools in that suite, the top X number of tools, 5 or 2 in this case, did you feel needed the most attention? What needed more work from us? Where was there room for a lot of improvement? And in some cases, you might be surprised as to what that feedback is. We're going to talk about that today. These 2 questions, they take usually less than a minute, minute and a half to answer, just because you're going through and picking a couple of check boxes and moving on. The intent of these questions, though, there's a very specific intent from us. CTC right now has approximately 300 wishes in various stages of scoping within our sort of roadmap, within our queue of work to do. That's a lot of wishes. About a quarter of those wishes relate directly to the SIM suites. Yeah, about a half of those questions relate to the BIM suites directly, and there's a number of miscellaneous questions that relate to a few of the other suites that we offer as well. Our goal here at CTC is we really want to complete all of them ultimately. But we can't just tackle 300 wishes in one big lump. That's not realistic because we've only got so many developers, right? So we want to focus on what you feel are the most important wishes. And so in this first round of surveys, I was asking about what are the most important tools? Which ones do you like the most, that you use a lot? Of course, those popular tools are going to get some of the most attention right away. But also, maybe there's tools that you don't use a lot or do use a lot, but you feel they need a lot of attention because you want them to be even more valuable. That also has a lot of value to us because we're going to be focusing from those 300 wishes on those that relate directly to the tools that you really like. And so my next round of surveys, because there's going to be more than one round of this, isn't just a one-time thing. My next round of surveys is going to be incredibly feature-specific, tool by tool, and I'm going to start with those top 5 favorites and top 5 that need attention, or whatever the top X number is by each suite and each collection. And so the most popular tools from these suites, that's the next real round of the surveys. That's my goal with this, because again, I want your voice to be heard. So if you have team members in-house, in office, and they haven't yet taken a look at those surveys, get their voices heard as well. I know a lot of you who attend our webinars, you're really good BIM or CAD manager level users. That's fantastic. Those of you, who are that level, that's great, but I also want you to make sure that your end users, your designers, your engineers, that their voices are being heard as well. So with that, let's take a look at a few of the current answers for the recent round of surveys. Now, these surveys are still open. And again, in a moment, I'm going to be giving you access to the actual surveys themselves so you can fill them out if you haven't yet, or screenshot this and pass this to team members and have them fill it out. Because again, we want more feedback on this. So first off, let's jump in and actually take a look at those current answers. Now, the best way that I know to investigate answers and large data sets is by using a tool like Microsoft Power BI. And so this is what I'm going to be using. I have Microsoft Power BI set up here, and I've put together just a couple of reports that let us sort of navigate through different suites of tools here, different collections of tools. So our BIM suites are here at the bottom, Project Manager and Batch. We, of course, have the SIM Project and SIM Manager suite. And this information on this particular tool or tab right here, this is what we've kind of gathered from what the industry is actively using, what's actively being used right now. And this is actually from the past 90 days. So recent data, how much time has been spent in our tools and how many times have the tools themselves been used. And so I like this information. This is actually, I find this really valuable. So the SIM Project suite right here, if we go over to the right, this is the Civil Information Modeling, the Civil 3D Project suite. Over here to the right in Pipe Designer, the app has had 3,300 uses in the past 90 days, and it has a total of about 68 hours of use, right? That's good information. I like knowing this. This just kind of tells me a breakdown of how popular the tool is. This certainly by number of uses is the most popular tool. By time, it's not the most popular tool for how much time people have spent in here, but that's okay. You go to the tool a lot, you use it a lot, that's good to know. So I like knowing, like actual practical, this is what the industry is using, good to know. AutoGrader is the next most used tool in the SIM Project suite. 2,900 uses, 2,950 uses in the past 90 days. And this is the most popular tool by time. There's been almost, 144 hours worth of time in the past 90 days spent in this tool actively doing grading tasks. That's very interesting to me. Sheet Generator over here is the next one, 2,000 uses approximately in the past 90 days, and about 73 hours worth of time spent in sheet generation This is right now, today, specifically for roadwork sheet generation. But there's actually a pretty significant update coming to Sheet Generator in the not too distant future. It's going to help you with site layouts as well. And I then expect Sheet Generator's numbers to skyrocket when it can help you with general site sheet layouts also. Label Genie is the next in line here as far as number of uses, 1,700 uses, 1,768 to be specific, and about 93 hours of time spent in there. So this is about the second most popular tool from time point of view, but the fourth most popular for how many times people are spending in the tool. So that just means that you spend a lot of time labeling, and this actually saves you quite a bit of time. That's pretty fantastic to know. And you can see the breakdown of some of the rest of the tools down here as well. I'm just kind of covering the top 4 right now in this little collection. So if we click down here to the Sim Manager suite, Sim Manager here is all based on sort of CAD management, Civil 3D CAD management. The most popular tool that has the most clicks in this case, Template Tracker. 902 uses in the past 90 days and about 101 hours of time spent in Template Tracker, tracking down issues within your template files and your project files, getting them fixed, resolving any of those issues. So Template Tracker, nice powerful tool here. Another powerful sort of fixing tool, Layer Boss. That's the next most popular tool, 635 uses and about 41 hours of time spent. And the next one down, Line Type Manager. So tons of really good information. And by the way, none of this data is any of CTC's uses or our partners' uses on this. This is 100% uses of these tools by customers. So important to note there, this is real industry usage of these tools. There's a lot of people saving time and ultimately saving money and stress on projects because of them. So now let's jump into the actual feedback. It's interesting to see what the actual use of these tools are. Template Tracker, Layer Boss, Line Type Manager as the top 3 most popular tools in the Manager suite here. In the Project suite, Pipe Designer, AutoGrader, Sheet Generator, Label Genie, top 4 most popular tools by a fairly significant margin. The rest of the tools are sort of in the lower 50 percentile of that. So, of the total, that is. So let's go take a look at the feedback. So average time to complete, this is the Sim Project Suite. Average time to complete a survey, just under a minute and a half. Well, yeah, just under a minute and a half. Now, we didn't have a lot of responses here. I'm kind of disappointed about that. I'd love to get some more. So those of you who are Civil 3D users, I'm going to encourage you, get your voice heard on here because this isn't a significant number just yet, but it still gives us some data to go on. So looking at this here, the Sim Project Suite, the most popular tool as far as top favorites goes here is Label Genie. Comparing that to the overall tracked usage, Label Genie over here isn't the top in time, and it's also not the top in actual app usage, but it is the most popular. And those of you who have chosen to answer the survey, this is by far the most popular. 10 of the 12 responses said, hey, Label Genie, powerful tool, and I like it. The next one in line there is Pipe Designer. That wasn't even in the top 4 of major uses, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be, but this is good to know that Pipe Designer is a powerful tool you're seeing a lot of value in. And the next 2 is a free tool here, Part Swapper. Nice, powerful tool there, and AutoGrader. No surprise there that it's in the top 4, but it's surprising me that a few of these other tools weren't in the top 4, like Sheet Generator. That's all right, though. AutoGrader here, good, powerful tool in the top 4 from your liked tool, your top favorites there in the Sim Project Suite. And then within the tools needing improvement within Civil 3D, AutoGrader tops that list hands down. 4, well, not hands down, I guess it has twice as many votes as anything else out there. 4 votes there for AutoGrader needing some improvement. And we're aware of that. We're working on that. But it's also one of the more popular tools from some of those previous actual usage metrics. So it's good to know that too. The next 3 tools are tied at the moment. Data Wizard needs some work. Earthwork Processor needs some work. And Pipe Designer, you say, needs some work. So it's good for us to know. We're definitely going to be focusing on those 4 tools in the near future here, doing some work on them. And then the other tools that are in the list, it's not that they're not getting work. They definitely are. In fact, Sheet Generator is getting some work done right now. But the rest of these tools, we're going to be prioritizing some surveys around their features in the near future here. You'll see those coming through. And again, if you continue to vote and we see these numbers change, well, then we'll kind of redirect our focus to tools that are more important perhaps to you if other tools need improvement over and above the ones that are already voted for. So on the Manager Suite side, This one didn't get a lot of votes. There's only 7 total responses here, and that's okay, but we'd love to see some more. The top 3 favorited tools here: Template Tracker, Style Manager, Layer Boss. That actually is backed up by the data we see from actual tracked tool usage. And then for the tools needing improvement, the free tool Line Type Manager here is one of the tools that's in the top 3. Style Manager there is the topmost tool, requiring some kind of, you think it needs some kind of improvement. And so we'll be asking some questions about that. And then Survey Template Manager down here. This is the second most popular tool, or the one that perhaps needs the most improvement here within this list. So these are, according to the current votes, this is what we have here in this list. Now, if you wanted to review some of the information from the BIM suites, for those of you who are on the architecture side, totally understood. Here's our breakdown from the BIM project suite. Currently, actually, this is a little bit behind the time. There's actually 36 total responses now, so I got a few more votes since my last webinar a month ago. But the BIM project suite here, showing Spreadsheet Link as one of the most favorite tools. That is not a surprise at all. It's definitely one of the powerhouse tools. View Creator's powerful tool, Schedule Excel, very much used tool, and Sheet Assistant, the top 4 most popular tools. And then for tools needing improvement, of course, not really surprising here, Schedule Excel is high up in that list. View Creator next in line, Sheet Assistant right there, sitting up in that little top collection. And so those top 3 tools there, the next ones down are all kind of tied for 4th place. But we're definitely looking at some features within our wish list collection set for the BIM project suite. Manager suite, similar breakdown here. Popular tool, Project Cleaner. I knew that was going to be one of the popular tools. Not really a surprise there. Family Processor, certainly one of the most powerful tools in the BIM Manager suite, specifically in Type Swapper following that up. Then down here for tools needing improvement, the one that was voted the most was Import and Link Manager, and there's a number of really good improvements coming to that tool. The Project Cleaner tool, there's some improvements coming there as well. Let's see here, what were the other 2? Family Checker and Shared Parameter Manager were the next 2 tools needing some work. And so we'll be taking a look at those and giving some surveys here in the not too distant future about that. And then the Batch suite, well, all the free tools, of course, are favorites. This suite only has 4 or 5 tools in it in the first place. So, of course, they're all going to be pretty close together. But yeah, there's a lot of favorites in that mix. The one that needs the most improvement here, Plotter Exporter, is absolutely about to undergo some major UI redesigns to make it much more usable. And then Project and Family Upgrader and Project Processor. Project Processor also undergoing a lot of features and UI redesign here in the near future. But also keep your eyes open for those surveys that will be coming out in the not too distant future about those particular tools as well. So these are the current answers, right? But you can actually still step in and provide more answers about these. And so for the next steps, what I'd like you to do, since these surveys are still open, is continue to answer them. I'm going to give you here some QR codes. I'll let you know when a good time to screenshot this, or a good point where you might want to go back to it here. But these surveys are still open, and we do encourage you to continue to participate in these surveys. Specifically, here's BIM Project Suite, BIM Manager Suite, BIM Batch Suite. So these 3 surveys right here, these are on the building information modeling side, the Revit-facing tools. Those surveys, again, still open right now, so you can go answer those. Today's specific webinar was primarily focusing on the SIM suites. And so here is the SIM Project Suite and the SIM Manager Suite. And I encourage you, if you haven't done those surveys yet, go through and get those answered. Again, good spot for a screenshot if you want to pass these around to your team. And for those of you who perhaps are leveraging our Hive product, we haven't actually officially sent this particular survey out yet, but if you want to jump the gun a little bit and get in there and answer some of the survey questions we have in there for the Hive product, we encourage you to do that. You can actually get some early access to this. That survey should be rolling out here in the not too distant future, talking about some existing features and some features that were recently launched that you may not yet have had a chance to take a look at, and that's why we haven't actually officially launched it. But you can still feel free to go in and take a look and answer those survey questions if you really want to. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start with a pre-thank you. Thank you all for those of you who are watching this recording, for those of you who showed up live and participate with us in these webinars. We always enjoy the opportunity to interact with you, especially with this, where we can talk with you about the feedback that we're getting back from you and kind of get more feedback and cite more of that feedback.